Good morning, this is Mrs. Heisenbuttel, and today I'm going to be talking about our pegboard toy and how we're going to make it with Autodesk Inventor 2014. So the very first thing you need to know is that you start the pegboard toy the same way we start most of our files. And in your directions, which I'm sure you all have, you will see that there's a step 1, step 2, and then you skip to steps 3, 4, and finally 5. The first step, all it says is make the pegs, and it gives you the dimensions for the pegs. So I made the video to kind of help you if you're stuck, but for most of you, you won't need this video. If you want, you can always watch the video, stop it, do that section, and then start the video again and do the next section. So this video right here is just for the parts, and I'm just going to put the parts together for you today. So first thing I need to do is I'm going to create a new file. I need a standard IPT, that's an English measurement file. I'm going to hit create, and it takes it a second to launch. Don't worry about it. And the first peg I'm going to make is a round peg, and it is 1 inch in diameter and 3 inches long. So to create anything, I'm going to go to Create 2D Sketch, open the origin, tell it I want to make it on the XY. Then I'm making a round peg, so I'm going to select the circle tool, right click OK, dimension the circle. Click it when it goes red, click off over here, and I'm going to say I want it to be 1 inch and hit enter. Now, it's a little hard to see, so I'm going to zoom all. So there's my 1 inch diameter circle. I'm going to finish my sketch, and I'm looking at my directions again, and it says extrude to 3 inches. So I click when it goes red, click on the extrude option, and instead of 1 inch here, I'm going to say 3. Okay, zoom all. There's my round peg. Now I'm going to go to File over on the Application menu, Save As, and I'm going to go select my U drive because you can't save anything to the hard drives in our school district. Everything needs to go in your U drive. My U drive has my name. Your U drive is going to have your ID number. So I'm just going to create a new folder, pegboard toy. Now I recommend you create a folder just for your pegboard parts, because you're going to have pegs, you're going to have a board itself, you're going to have the ends to the board, and then you're going to assemble the whole thing and create a an orthographic sketch and blueprint for it. So everything's going to be, it helps if it's all in the same folder. Everything works better. So instead of calling it part 1, I'm going to rename it as round peg and save. So now it is saved as round peg. I'm done. So I'm going to go back here, new standard IPT, create file, and I'm looking at my directions. It says the square peg is 1 inch by 1 inch and 3 inches long. So create 2D sketch, open the origin on the XY. I am now going to click rectangle, and notice I can select different kinds of rectangles. I want the top one, the 2-point rectangle. I'm going to create a simple 2-point rectangle, right click OK. Now I'm going to dimension it and tell it that that is 1 inch. Click, click, 1 inch. Whoops, not 10, 1. Zoom all. Good. Finish sketch. Click, extrude, 3 inches. Okay, zoom all. There we go. So now I'm going to go back to the application menu, save as. I'm going to make sure I'm in my Y drive, which I am inside my pegboard toy file, and now I'm going to call this square peg and save. Give it a second. There it goes. And now I'm going to do the same thing. Open another file, standard IPT, English measurements, create. Last one says the triangular peg. So right click, or I left click on create sketch, open the origin on the XY, and it says the triangular peg is a 1 inch by 1 inch square with 2 lines in it to make it a triangle. It also is 3 inches long. So again, here's my square. Okay, dimension 1 inch by 1 inch. And now, here's the part that we need to do. I'm going to click the line tool. See how my point goes green? Click, and now when I come up here and see how it's yellow, yellow, yellow until I get right in the middle and then it goes green. Now, to be sure, I'm going to right click OK, and just to make sure, I'm going to click that, see where I get that little red dot? That's the point at the end of my line. So if I leave my mouse there too long, it kind of wigs out. So I'm going to go from that point to that point and make sure it's at exactly a 1/2 inch, and it is. So, yes, accept. So, whoops, I want line, and now I'm going to do the same thing. Green dot to green dot. Right click OK, finish sketch. Now I'm going to click on one of the uprights of my triangle, and I tend to call this the grilled cheese sandwich method, where you make a rectangle and then cut it to make a triangle. In this case it's 3 inches long. Home view, there we go, there's my triangle peg. Now, let's assume I want my pegs to be different colors. I can always change them here, but I can also leave it alone and change them later to make it, it's a little easier to make all your parts and then change colors and do all that kind of good stuff. So, we are going to hit the application menu, save as, and we are going to call this Try Peg. And again, I'm making sure I'm in my U drive, right there, in my pegboard toy file, Try Peg, save. So that's how we make the first set of parts.